The conference semi-finals of the NBA playoffs are nearly actually at a close. We have one series to go that goes to a game 7 tomorrow, and then we've got nothing but the conference finals left. Which for me feels really weird, and I feel like it's all just gone so damn fast that we are really at the tipping point at the end of this season. Obviously, the draft lottery has just been done. Free agency will be damn near around the corner. Like, the end of this 2026 season is nearly at a close. And it's just insane to me. Like, there's teams to go through. Obviously, what I'm doing today, just like last series, is I'm going to go over to the teams that have been eliminated and sort of talk about what's next. I know some teams got eliminated like 5 days ago or whatever it was because they got swept. Your boy's been a bit crook. I haven't been able to sort of project my voice to the level that I was hoping to over that stretch. So I'm here now and here to talk about the Timberwolves, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Philadelphia 76ers. Some have a bit more to unpack than the others because obviously teams like LA, you talk about the injuries and who was in and out and that sort of thing. But we will get to all of them. Yeah, it's obviously the Spurs and the OKC Thunder is going to be a cracking series. Like, OKC has been the most dominant team all year and for the last 3 years pretty much. And this year, the San Antonio Spurs have beaten them 4 different times. So I think in the NBA world and the way the people are viewing things, if there was ever a team to be able to beat this OKC team and stop a potential dynasty, it is this San Antonio Spurs team. Me personally, I am still picking the OKC Thunder. Obviously, I heard yesterday that Jalen Williams is healthy again. And I think we kind of completely forgot in the fact of the Lakers series that Jalen Williams did not suit up for a single second. And they still swept them. So, Jalen Williams adds a whole new dynamic to this team. I do hope that Jalen Williams can stay healthy and stay on the court for this series and potentially the finals. Because OKC is at their absolute best when Jalen Williams is on the floor. That being said, AJ Mitchell needs to get a lot of credit because AJ Mitchell has held down the scoring and basically averaged what J-Dub did when he went out. He dropped 20 points a game for pretty much every game this series and was just electricity off the bench. He gave you every output of scoring that you possibly needed in any factor of these games. So for that reason, I'm still staying with OKC. I think they are the better team, and when the playoffs come around, the conference finals, they are yet to lose a game. So it's hard to back against a team that has not lost a game 2 series in. But anyway, that being said, the prediction and all that sort of thing will be spoken about during the series. But as for teams that have been eliminated, the freshest one on my mind, obviously, is the Minnesota Timberwolves, so we may as well go towards Minnesota first. There might be a couple of big changes this offseason. Obviously, I saw a tweet late last night that the Minnesota Timberwolves traded more first-round picks for Rudy Gobert than he had points yesterday. And that's kind of a hard thing to hear because Rudy Gobert has been a guy. In the first series against the Denver Nuggets, he played phenomenally well. He was actually impactful on the offensive side of the ball. He was back to his absolute best on the defensive side of the ball against the best center in the entire association. And then goes up against this San Antonio Spurs team and basically gets run off the floor. Because the biggest thing with this San Antonio Spurs team is their rim pressure between a De'Aaron Fox who loves to get downhill, a Victor Wembanyama who is 1,000'5" and can shoot the 3 ball from 30 feet. You've got Steph Castle who isn't an amazing 3-point shooter and would much rather put his head down and get to the basket. Dylan Harper, as a rookie, has been picture perfect for this lineup. It just made Rudy Gobert have to focus on not just Nikola Jokic like the first series, but had to focus on all of these guys running at the rim, pressuring the rim, getting at his chest. And at the end, I think it was too much for him. And he couldn't impact the defensive side of the ball, which we know for the extent of Rudy Gobert's career has been the best part about Rudy Gobert. But he was also an absolute non-factor on the offensive side of the ball. The dude could barely catch a lob. We all know what Rudy Gobert's like from the free throw line. He wasn't even the best Frenchman on the court. That's the simplest way to put it. It was a hard series to watch for Rudy Gobert. I'm not a Rudy Gobert hater by any means of the imagination. I think he's an amazing player and will make the Hall of Fame one day because 4 DPOIs will get you in the Hall of Fame. That being said, between him and Julius Randle, by the way, had an atrocious game yesterday. Like, he was unplayable. And Julius Randle was a guy that you traded from the New York Knicks for probably the New York Knicks' most consistent player that they've had this playoff run. The New York Knicks are in the conference finals with a healthy Karl Anthony Towns that has arguably been more consistent than Jalen Brunson throughout this playoff run. And you get Julius Randle, he comes in, he plays really well in his first playoffs last year, but then comes into this series against the Spurs and just... When you have someone like Victor Wembanyama that you're going up against and half of your identity as a basketballer is being a bruiser, being a bully ball, getting to the bucket, getting 2 feet out and just making a little 5-foot baby hook or going to your strong hand and going up for a lay. Having Victor Wembanyama, who isn't a bruiser, but he will stay on the weak side and just wait for that shot to go up and will erase that shot 9 times out of 10, it takes out a majority of Julius Randle's game. And when you immediately have to then rotate to basically making Julius Randle a stretch 4 and him not being able to move from the perimeter or the mid-range and get a couple of easy buckets, get his eye in, get him feeling good, and then he can, bring the game out and expand his floor, it makes it really hard for him. And I'm pretty sure now Julius Randle is out of contract. Whether he comes back to the Minnesota Timberwolves or not, I really don't know. Because you have a series like this where Anthony Edwards, as your best player, isn't fully healthy, isn't 100% fit, and Julius Randle is the guy that you should have been able to rely on to win even a game. Like, Julius Randle wasn't the reason they won either of the games that they did in this series. And you kind of just expand on that, and why would you keep him on the roster? Obviously, it sucks if you were to let a Julius Randle go in free agency for absolutely nothing. But there might be a sign and trade there somewhere. There might be another move for Julius Randle somewhere. Because I just don't think between Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert that it's going to work. I think one of them has to go this offseason. And something on my shoulder is telling me that it's not Rudy Gobert. Because you don't trade Rudy Gobert for 5 first-round picks and immediately get rid of Rudy Gobert with, you're probably realistically for Rudy Gobert these days going to get 1, maybe 2 first-round picks the way that the market is these days. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. Obviously, Anthony Edwards continues to get better. He's going to hit his peak in the next few years, and you really want to capitalize on Anthony Edwards' peak because he is the best player that you've had on this roster since Kevin Garnett, and I don't think it's really close. So, as a franchise, I really hope that they do expand and extend on Anthony Edwards and basically give their all to him. Ayo Dosunmu was an amazing pickup. Obviously, during this series, you kind of give him a bit of leeway because you could tell that he wasn't 100% and that calf was giving him some pain. But he still got out on the floor, and we are going to remember in this playoff series the Ayo Dosunmu 40 ball against the Nuggets. Because that game was one of the games of just pure... You couldn't believe what you were watching. As an NBA fan, as a fan of sports, just anything like any of the above. It was an absurd game to watch. But yeah, Minnesota, they got a bit to do. Obviously, I don't think the roster as it's currently constructed is quite over the hump, especially with the emergence of the Spurs and OKC. I don't think they get over either one of those teams, the way that they are currently constructed. So something does have to change. And I hope for Anthony Edwards' sake that I'm able to watch Anthony Edwards in a final series one day soon. Anyway, on to the next team. I'll probably do one of the quicker ones. I mean, Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey's a dog. Tyrese Maxey's a baller. You're going to continue to build around Tyrese Maxey. You're going to continue to build around VJ Edgecombe. I think as far as rookie seasons go from VJ Edgecombe, it is literally what you drafted him for. He's going to continue to work on his three ball and basically get better from long range. But the dude is able to jump higher than 95% of players in the entire league. The dude can block shots. The dude can post a dunk. The dude, he is such a good basketball player. And to have him as impactful as he was in that Boston series in the first season of his entire career, it's a sign of good things to come for Philadelphia. The Joel Embiid situation is the one that gets interesting because obviously I gained so much respect for Joel in this playoff series because the dude came back from his appendicitis injury, or not injury, surgery, had bad knees, had bad ankles, and still continued to get out on the floor and give 100%. And for that, I give maximum amounts of credit towards Joel Embiid and everything that he did in this playoff series. They don't win the Boston series without Joel Embiid. So, in that regard, shout out to Joel. But is the long run of Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey really beneficial to the 76ers as a franchise? Because do the 76ers kind of want to move forward in a way of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe? Can my camera please focus, please? That would be absolutely awesome. I'm trying to talk here. Thank you. Do you want to continue to spread in the vision of VJ and Tyrese? And does Joel Embiid fit that bill? Because there was times where this team, I believe, looked as good with Andre Drummond on the floor running their full-time center minutes. And if you can get someone that's even slightly better than Andre Drummond to run that center spot, who is a screener, who is a big bruiser that can set bodies for Tyrese Maxey, does it make this team better? It's pretty much just food for thought. I'm not too sure how it would look without, your former MVP on the roster. But it's just food for thought. And Paul George showed us why he is still one of the elite players in basketball on the defensive side of the ball this series. But he missed 25 games during the season. And the games that he did play during the season, his offense was just lackluster. Paul George struggled to make shots in majority of the games this season. And when you go to the playoffs, he obviously started to make a few. And then there was that game in the second round where he scored 13 points or something in the first quarter. People were thinking about a PG game, and I'm pretty sure he finished the game with 13 points. So, the inconsistency of Paul George's offense really hurts, but what do you do about his contract? Because obviously you've given Paul George damn near $200 million, and the last year of his contract being when he's 39 years old. So I think Paul George is more than happy to write out that contract, take that $50 million at the last year of his deal, and then retire. But as a franchise, I think you want to move towards Tyrese Maxey as soon as possible. Because Tyrese Maxey is the now. Tyrese Maxey is not up and coming. Tyrese Maxey is going to be the cornerstone of this franchise as long as you keep him around. So it's just, it's just the older guys. Kelly Oubre was solid all year this year. Andre Drummond has started working on his three ball. I think he's a solid rotation piece on the bench. They've got some good pieces. They just need to find a couple of extra pieces, whether that be through these old guys that I just mentioned, or whether it be through the draft. You try and, get someone out of your 20th overall pick or whatever you're going to get. yeah, it's just food for thought. I'm not too sure at the moment, but we will see what happens. And last but not least, we have the Los Angeles Lakers, LA's very own. Obviously, you go without Luka Doncic into a series where you wouldn't have been favoured to win the series even if Luka is on the court. But yeah, there wasn't really much clicking. For me, Austin Reeves looked really bad in this series. Obviously, he had a couple of good scoring outbursts, but there was also so many times where he was turning the ball over in bad spots. He looked like he was getting rushed by this OKC defense. And when he arguably should be your first option on the scoring side of things in this LA team, outside of a 41-year-old LeBron James. But LeBron James had to be the first scoring option, the first playmaking option. The dude was still getting up there and getting rebounds. Austin Reeves, just for me, this series didn't really hit. And he will come back. Luka, there's been reports that Luka wants Austin Reeves on the team. Luka does not want to leave Austin Reeves by any stretch of the imagination because he sees him as his number 2 guy in the future. But that also means you need to hone your defensive pieces around this Lakers outfit because Luka is an amazing defender, as you give him a pass because he's the most offensively gifted player in the entire league, I would argue. And you also have Austin Reeves, who isn't a great defensive player either. And running it with DeAndre Ayton this season, DeAndre Ayton had really good games in these 2 playoff series. But I think it was because LeBron James was going at him so often and trying to find him and hitting him on the short roll, hit him on the dive to the bucket. He was just finding him because he was the second form of offense for the Lakers. Obviously, while Austin Reeves was out in the first series against the Rockets, DeAndre Ayton had to step up. Then you also have Game 4 of DeAndre Ayton in the OKC series where the dude was unplayable. He played 5 minutes, and that was it. Because on the defensive side of the ball, he was not stopping Chet. He was not stopping the float game from Isaiah Hartenstein. He was not stopping Shea from getting to the bucket, drawing contact, any of that. You need to find defensive pieces for this roster. I think that is the biggest outlook that I can give for the Lakers at the moment. Because you get Luka back, and you hopefully get a healthier Luka for next season. There's question marks on LeBron. We don't know what's going on with LeBron next season. Obviously, I would say if I was a betting man and I had to guess right now, I would say LeBron will be a Laker next season. But you never know. He could basically turn his head and want to go somewhere else or go to a championship contender or something like that. We're not too sure. We don't really know. But I think LeBron James is on this roster last year, and you run it back one last time with Luka, with Austin Reeves, and just get another center maybe, because Jackson Hayes being your best center on the floor is not going to get it done most of the time. But to Jackson Hayes' credit, played really great basketball for this entire series. So I can't really hate on it too much. But yeah, defensive pieces are the number 1 for me right now with this Lakers franchise. Rui Hachimura, I can never say his name. Rui was ridiculous shooting the basketball for this entire playoff series. I'm so high on Rui and how he's able to shoot the ball and how professional he is as a basketball player. If I was starting a franchise and I was building a team, Rui would probably be my number 1 pick in a role player's fashion. Because as far as role players go, Rui is one of the best. He shoots the ball. He parks his feet on offense when you need him to. And he's just amazing. Like, he hit so many clutch shots for them in this series. Hit big shots down the stretches of games. Got the offense started when they needed it. Like, he's an amazing basketball player, and I give him full credit. But that's pretty much it. I've been waffling on for about 20 minutes now, so I think that's more than enough time for me. That's 3 teams covered. I've obviously got one more to do after the game tomorrow. That video will be out on Tuesday. So if you're in Australia 2 days from now, Tuesday will be Monday for you Americans if you guys are tuning in too. I will get the video out the day after the Game 7 because that's when the time frees up for me and I'll be able to analyse it. Hopefully there's no basketball on that day either because on a day like today when there is no basketball, I'm able to do this analysis in complete depth and not have to watch the game at all. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next couple of days talking about either Detroit or the Cavs. I have Detroit winning this game, by the way. I just don't trust enough in the Cavaliers system to be able to go away and win another basketball game on the road. I just don't think it's possible. And I think Detroit, if they start hitting shots earlier on this game, they'll be able to close it up because Asar Thompson will be able to lock it down. Jalen Duren played his best game of the playoffs yesterday. They're looking in a decent spot. So I'm taking the Pistons to win tomorrow. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm analysing the Pistons tomorrow. We will see what happens. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, considering a subscribe or a like would be absolutely amazing. Every bit of analysis, every bit of feedback from you guys is absolutely amazing. If you want to drop any comments down below and continue the conversation, I will reply to them. I will get to them as quickly as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's been my basically recap on these teams and what's next for them. By the way, I can't wait to watch all of these teams live next year. I'm making a trip to the US at the end of the year, and I'm going to go and watch all of these teams live. And if you guys have made it this far and you guys want to see a vlog of that trip when the trip comes around, obviously I'll promote it a bit more leading up to it. But I'm thinking about a vlog, so if you guys can give me any early feedback on that, if you'd like to see that, please let me know. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next couple of days. Take care of yourselves, guys.